Welcome back to Have You Heard, the social media podcast brought to you by us at The Social Shepherd. I'm Jack, one of the co-founders here at The Social Shepherd, and I'm joined by...
Zoe, I'm the other co-founder here at The Social Shepherd.
Perfect. And today, Zoe, we do these pretty much every 6 months. So some of you guys may have seen one of these before. We like to do sort of a recap and then a forward projection on our goals as well. So I think what we want to do today is look back through the entirety of 2023 and then look ahead for our goals in 2024. There's lots.
I swear 2023 was like 10 years.
A lot happened.
Like if I look back to even when we filmed like the one 6 months ago from now, that feels like years ago.
We weren't even
in this office. No.
We were in a hired studio, basically, which is why the background's changed. The podcast room is here. I guess that's one of the things from 2023 that we could definitely recap on to start with is the new office. That was a big, big thing for us. We'd always been in serviced offices, which similar to like a WeWork style, but through a variety of different routes.
The last office was like an old Georgian house basically, and we rented it from Vio offices, who were someone that we'd become very friendly with from previous serviced offices that we'd used. We just slowly took over the entire building, and so we were basically in this like old Georgian house with 5 different rooms in it. The stairs were really steep and it was really cozy, if that makes sense. But this is definitely much more representative. And I actually said to you 2.5 years ago, we saw this office for lease. And I was like, that's our dream office. We should go and view it. And you looked at the price of it and you were like, we're never going to get that office. Like, we can't afford it. That's too silly. And then like scroll forward 12 months, you were like, okay, actually, we've grown. We can afford it now. It would be a really good space for us in our growth buildings. So I manifested this office.
It worked. Keep manifesting, Zoe. It's doing well for you. I think that's, I guess, moving on to our sort of another point is, like you said, this office allowed for our growth. And that was the whole reason that we moved into here, you know.
And it was quite like a risky thing to do as well. Because I think, I mean, as everyone knows, like, there's a lot of businesses and particularly agencies that are really struggling at the minute. And a lot of agencies are doing the opposite of what we've done, but we've really kind of
downsizing,
gone full pelt at it. And been like, you know, we really believe in our team skill set. We know that we can grow. So
I think you have to back yourself.
You
ultimately
do, like
100%. You just have to, like, that's all it is about, just moving forward, moving with motion, progression. Otherwise, if you're not sort of moving forward, you're kind of moving backwards in a way.
And an agency always has to move forward because there is like a natural churn rate that goes through an agency. Like, you're not going to keep a client forever. And so as an agency, if you're not moving forward, you kind of are moving backwards, basically. So you need to. But I will say, moving into this office was a task and Kelly absolutely smashed it. But I remember we did like a big office opening party and the team and their friends and family came along to it. But that week that we moved in, it was like an adrenaline crash for myself, you and Kelly. And we were all just like, you were miserable. Kelly was like, oh my word, what's happened to Jack? Like, the people's prince has had it. And it was a lot. And it was like, people say, like, when you do like a really big thing that you've anticipated for a long time and you put loads of work into it, and when it happens, you're like, oh, what do I do now type thing.
I guess some key stats about the space. I think before we were in like 1,600 square feet, maybe 1,800 square feet, all the way through to what is now 7,600 square feet of office space.
Still not enough meeting rooms, just to clarify.
Yeah, we're
still fighting.
That'll be another thing we do in the next update is we've added a meeting room. But it's really, allowed us for that growth, which we've continued to do. You know, we've had, I think the team has gone from a team of 40 to 63, if we're just talking about the UK. And we've got, as you know, plenty more space within the office to grow into, which is perfect. It's exactly what we wanted.
But we've had like a rough sort of growth rate in team members of 45% year on year. So,
and how is that compared to revenue, I guess?
So revenue was 50% year on year. So
it makes a lot of sense, like
pretty
with,
well aligned, if that makes sense. But there have definitely been some efficiencies to service offering there, which you can see in that additional 5% on revenue.
I guess also in terms of team, what else did we do? in 2023?
Well, we opened a New York office, which I think, like, again, this time last year just wasn't even something that, I think we said this time last year we wanted to open a London office, which we still do, but we had
and
we will do
pretty soon.
in 2024, I hope.
I'm currently speaking to people in London.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we basically had the opportunity where we had a couple of clients come to us and be like, basically, we want you to work with our US entities, but it would require you to have an office in New York. We looked at it, you know, something that we had really wanted to do for a very long time, but it felt very far in the future. Like, we didn't want to force growth, but like looking at the opportunity, it was just like too good to say no to. And, you know, we had a really solid client base we were able to tap into. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like madness whenever I look back and I think if I told myself 12 months ago that we were going to own a US business and have employed people out there and I hadn't even been to New York until like 4 months ago or something ridiculous like that.
And I've been 3 or 4 times.
So yeah, I think there was a lot of travel that we did last year, which was actually really like fun. I mean, it was exhausting, but it was fun at the same time. So yeah, New York was a massive thing. I think that's probably my highlight of the year.
Yeah. And we're already seeing my thoughts only like the benefit of having an office, although obviously small and only just started, but we're speaking with brands over the next few months and conversations happening currently. Quite a few in paid specifically that are coming to us for paid and wanting to expand from just being a UK based brand, but really enter that US market. We have that ability to do so very nimbly with a paid team in the US and a paid team in the UK. And I think we're already seeing the sort of fruition and the benefit of having teams in both sides.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I think as well, because we've got a team in the UK and we've got the team in the US now, you know, at the minute our hub is New York, we will expand that out to other states because it's the majority of people who will just understand life and business. New York is a very expensive state to run a business from and hire people from. But it means that because we have multiple hubs, we've got 2 at the minute, we'll have more sort of spreading out. It means that we can be really strategic with the roles and where we service different bits of business from, which means that we can, in some areas, be more cost effective for clients because whilst it can be managed from here, it can be serviced from elsewhere, which has a cost implication. So overall, like we're just really working towards being like a bit of a global hub. But yeah, New York was fabulous.
Yeah. And also in 2023, onboarded 18 new clients as well, which I think felt like a really sort of nice place to be. We could have absolutely onboarded more, but like you said, there was so much going on through the year. There were definitely moments throughout the year where we need to hold off for a bit.
We just turned off the tap for like 5 months of the year, literally, because we did it before we moved in. Just after we moved into this office, actually, we completely turned off the tap
as well
because there was just too much to get done, and then we had to do it throughout Q4 as well. End of Q3, moving into Q4. But yeah, I mean, it felt really good. And, you know, we now have 55 clients within the business. I think we have 8 brands that we're speaking to from a new business perspective at the minute. And last year we had an 86% client retention rate, which is really strong from an agency perspective. So yeah, I mean, super happy with where we're at and, you know, it only aids where we're going in the future.
We won obviously best large social agency.
Do you know what? When that happened, obviously we went to the award ceremony and we were going on annual leave the next day, so it was a bit chaotic. But there's so much going on at that moment in time that like I cried when we won the award and it was like very emotional. But I don't think we really took a moment to celebrate that properly because there was so much going on at that. I remember being very stressed back then. So I think, you know, when you like achieve something and then you're like, oh, if I told myself 5 years ago I was going to achieve this, it would be like a pinch me, like I've made it moment. But we just kind of like,
the anticipation
we kind of like slid over it, if that makes sense, because there was so much going on at the time.
Yeah.
But I'm super proud.
Yeah. Well, I know like the journey to achieve something is always the exciting part. Then once you achieve it, you're like, oh,
what's next?
What's next? Yeah. Where are we going? What's the plan? Hopefully we can obviously retain it next year and we'll absolutely be going for it, but always really tough competition especially in that particular award for Best Large Social Agency. So what are some of your peak moments and some low moments, I guess? Well, maybe not low, but like what was some really memorable stuff?
I think one of the peaks is gonna have to be, well, the award is an obvious peak, even though I don't think we really took it in at the time. And now looking back on it, I am so proud of it. And like the team have worked so hard to be able to achieve that. So I'm really proud. New York was a massive one. Like I said, we didn't even anticipate this time last year that was going to be a conversation we were going to be having. And it kind of all happened in the last 6 months of the year. It's just kind of snowballed basically. So the fact that we now own a US company is amazing. And the team that we have out there, they're great. They're a really, really good bunch. So I'm really excited to see what happens.
We did a good job with bringing those guys on board.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I mean, there was so many peaks in the sense of I'm just really proud of the team and everything we've achieved and all the time we spent together. You know, we had a great baby strat and a really great cowboy themed birthday party. Shout out to Kelly. She smashed that one. But yeah, I think that there's been a lot this year, but I will say, I think I probably say this every year, but this year was probably one of the most stressful.
You'll say the same next.
I know. But I think this year, because it was our 5th year in business, we'd felt the scale of the business for a little bit longer. And our processes just weren't up to scratch for the size of the team that we had. And they're still not quite there, although we're very much working on it, but we're trying to, be better at rolling out processes and giving the team time to really adapt to them and doing it properly. But as a result of like our processes not necessarily catching up with the speed of growth, that did come with a lot of growth pains, I would say. And it's all normal growth pains. Like the stresses that we have are privileged stresses to have. And I'm very, very mindful of that. But there was that. And then I guess, naturally we've only had people employed for 3.5 years now, maximum. So we naturally had people coming up to their tenure within an agency where people do start to leave and move on to other roles and stuff. And it's really sad, but it's normal. But I think there's been a lot of change and a lot of change for the team to adapt to. So I think that's one thing that we're focused on this year is building up our resilience as a team to change. Because like we said, if you're not changing and evolving as an agency and moving forward, then you are moving backwards. And it is a quick changing landscape. But yeah, my pits were just stress.
Oh dear. Okay.
But that's fine. What about you?
Well, I was going to say, I think, some of them, like for me, obviously this office was massive, part of it, and from a peak perspective, and then I guess from a pits perspective, some of it was probably like, as we mentioned, I've been leading on the growth side of it. We have had times where we've had to pull the reins in, pause down, and then I get to a place where then I have to change my focus. But actually, I want my focus to be on the growth and bringing new exciting clients, but that's not always possible and shouldn't always be the done thing. It is important to have those down times. So that obviously makes me upset from time to time. So moving on to 2024, where do you think we will be? I guess, what are our goals? Obviously, we're a team size of 63 in the UK, 4 in the US. I guess where do you see it from the UK perspective and US, and then where does that land us in total?
So I think, firstly, like whilst our focus is always still to grow the team, I think we're actually focused on, our overall business growth is kind of, that's what's leading that, if that makes sense. Because team size, I think, it can kind of be a bit, sometimes entrepreneurs use it as like a bit of a vanity metric. Like, I've got a team of 200 people and stuff. And it's like, okay, but are you actually making any money from that? If that makes sense. So I think from a team perspective, we're really focused on like hammering down our processes, refining our service offerings. So our aims for growth are to get to 75, 80 within the UK and then to grow the US entity up to 12 people. So a higher growth rate for the US team because it's a smaller team. And that's, we're hoping to kind of do what we've done in 5 years in 2.5 years in the US. So we got to get going with that one. And then, growth of the UK team sort of up to 80 max, I would say.
Yeah. I think that sounds about right.
So yeah, and I mean, we've been really focusing now for, well, you and I in December and now through into January, and we're having some team sessions and it's starting to kick off like just our processes really, and making sure they're fully scalable, that everyone knows what they need to do and when. There's less guesswork in it, which can make the team more efficient. But yeah, we've just sort of been taking on board feedback from everyone across the business and understanding where they think we can be better as a business. And I think it's really important that we listen to everyone. Definitely. So that's a really big focus. And I'm hoping that realistically, you know, processes are always going to be ongoing, but we've brought in an automation expert to be able to help us. You know, we've invested in our internal team, so we should be in a much better place to make sure that we've got that supporting team to the billable team.
Yeah.
And internal ops is really important for us.
100%.
Other thing is we are investing in our tech stack for our clients and bringing on more research tools and insight-driven tools so that we can just develop. And that kind of goes in line with us developing our strategy offering and really building that out and making it a focus, because we want to kind of, you know, we do BAU so well. Like we've got that down to a T. Like if you want consistent results across your organic and paid social and influencer as well, like we've got that down to a T, and we do amazing campaigns, but I think we could shout better about them, and we really want to be innovating within the space and shouting more about the innovation that we do. And so having those tools on board will be really helpful for the team and for our clients. London will happen this year, so help me be it. It was supposed to happen last year, but New York had to kind of take a precedent. And yeah, I think one for me is just kind of like, I want us to, we are a little like social shepherd bubble, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like we don't really get involved in like,
I think it's been a good thing sometimes.
It has been a good thing, but I think we could do more in terms of like, you know, we do so much great work and things, and I think it'd be great to give the team some opportunities, like speak on panels a bit more and just be a little bit noisier within the industry. I think we could do a better job of that.
Definitely. It's one that you always want to do more of, isn't it? You like always seek to be better known within the industry. It's just making sure you take the right moments and have focus rather than just like a scattergun approach and just be the loudest in the room is not always the greatest. It's having the, you know, the strongest voice, the most respected voice, and you know, identifying those moments when actually it's the right moment to be a part of those conversations. I
don't think like we're not really a business that's ever going to screech to be the loudest in the room. Like if we're going to speak about something that we're really well informed on. And like, I always say to people, like, I'd rather you get your point across. And if you can't get your point across in 2 sentences, then you clearly haven't thought your point well enough through, because we don't need to be fluffy. We can be direct and we can be concise in the way that we communicate.
So if you had to round up 2024 and put together like 3 to 5 goals. Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
You are.
Sort of
we didn't talk about this beforehand.
Like key parts that you would look back in 12 months' time when we have another conversation in this room and go, this is what success looked like, and here's what we achieved.
So we are doing an exercise on, this is so boring, no one listening to this is going to care, but like making our utilization rates clear for the team so they know where their time should be spent depending on what level they're at. So having that project cleared and our process is much more ironed out, and to have had that feedback from the team that us doing that exercise has made it much easier for them to do their roles. So that would be like a massive one to have that kind of done. To have won some great new clients across the UK and the US, and to have hit our growth goals basically. So that is to get up to 75 minimum, hopefully 80 in the UK.
About 90-ish across total.
Yeah, 90 total, and then, 10 to 12 in the US. To have delivered a minimum of 2 to 3 award-winning campaigns, like fully like top industry campaigns. That's already a massive goal. Just keep vibing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep social
Have you got anything else to add in there?
I guess, we could talk about like revenue goals and stuff like that, but I don't know if that's boring or uninteresting to people.
Well, I mean, revenue is up 50% year on year.
Yeah.
No.
I think it will do similar.
Yeah.
that's hard to maintain if it was just the UK, but I think
because we've got the US
with the US as well, you know, one piece of new business, you know, it's easier when you've got 2 locations ultimately to get more new clients onboarded. It just is. So I do think we can probably, I would like to see us to hit sort of 50% growth in revenue. And obviously that sort of falls in line with team growth, profitability, all those other good things that sort of come along with that. And then being able to, you know, grow further than that, hopefully in 2025, but that's over a year away. So I won't talk too much about
the strategy team.
Yeah.
Big goal for this year.
Definitely. Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Zoe, for joining me today. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're listening, and we'll see you very, very soon.